It's possible if you do it right and you take precautions. There's going to be the naysayers out there. They're all over the internet, and they're going to tell me I'm going to kill my family and it's super dangerous and irresponsible. But they can go screw themselves, because there is a way, and I'm going to show you how. So here's my engine bay, and here is the original location of my marine generator. And you can see I got a few spare parts there. I've been working on the boat. I did new manifolds and risers, and put some new flooring down this year, and kind of cleaned it up a little bit. But you can see where the original marine generator sat, and you can see my fiberglass wet exhaust system right there. It's previously been installed for the old generator and some of the parts. Now, here is my replacement generator. This is a GenMax. Now, happens to be the one that I use. I'm sure there's other ones that will work here, but they need to have a few things. They need to have a built-in carbon monoxide detector, which, by the way, works very good. I mean, even if it's confined in the bed of my truck and there's not a lot of airflow, it'll turn off on its own. And then it also needs to be dual fuel. I guess it doesn't need to be dual fuel, but I'm going to use the dual fuel option here with propane. Right now, while I'm setting it up, I'm just going to use regular fuel. I have avgas in there right now, but as soon as that runs out, I'll switch it over to propane. You don't get as many running watts as you do with gasoline, but the fuel is a little cleaner, and it doesn't smell as bad when it's running outside the boat. So there's that. It's also got the built-in 30 amp plug, just like your 30 amp shore power. And it also has a couple 110 outlets, and it has a very handy remote for starting, and you can start it from about 50 feet away and turn it off, which is really handy, so you don't have to go into the engine compartment to turn it off. Now you can see I've already installed a flexi exhaust. I removed the spark arrestor and installed this flexible exhaust. And I designed and made a exhaust manifold or riser out of stainless steel. I designed it in my mind, and I went to a fabricator and I had this designed, and I'm going to show you how this is going to make this application possible. So a couple of the first things I purchased besides my new manifold here is a new Seaflow water pump. Now, you can get it in a 12 volt or a 110 plug-in style. Now, it's important that you get this style. Actually, it's not, but for convenience, that's what I did. I think it's the best way to keep your equipment safe from hydrolocking the engine or anything like that. So it comes with all the accessories and the hookup, plumbing for a 5/8 inch water line, and that's going to be plumbed directly into this nipple on my manifold here, and it's going to help make the wet system or the wet exhaust work, because you don't want to run exhaust through a fiberglass wet exhaust without water going through it. It'll burn it up. It'll smoke it. Then you want to go through and pull your original power cord for your generator out. Run the wiring, put it in a 30 amp, 125 volt plug. I have this just secured up here, so it's out of the way for right now. Okay, let me explain here what I did. So I hooked up my new manifold piece into the factory wet exhaust for my Formula boat here. Okay, I hooked up my C-flow pump to the water, the original water intake, which is hooked up to that C-cock down there on the bottom. And I'm going to test it here by plugging this in. Now you can see there's a little bit of some splashing coming out of the top where the exhaust is going to come in. But I can see the water's flowing through. Let's take a look outside and see how it's coming out. All right, looks like, oh, here's the sound of freedom. So it's coming out just fine now. Wet exhaust. By the way, those were the F-15 Air National Guards. All right, it's time to bring the generator down. You can see how I've mounted this exhaust with a simple hose clamp right there. I'm probably going to do something better. This is just kind of temporary, just to make sure everything's working and lined up correctly, and then I'm going to have a more permanent exhaust flexible line built here, but for now this will work just fine. Okay, here it is, all installed. I'm gonna go over here what I did. So here's my manifold that I had built. I call it a manifold. I don't know if that's the exact right term for it. It's a, I don't know, maybe more just like an exhaust, a wet exhaust adapter. But anyway, so here's my flex exhaust all hooked up. Coming around to here, I have an adapter with a exhaust, a rubber exhaust adapter right here. All stainless steel clamps. Comes down here to an elbow and into the wet exhaust, fiberglass wet exhaust. My water pump is all hooked up. And I'm going to get ready to start this thing up. But first, the reason I chose a 110 regular wall outlet pump instead of a 12 volt one, even though the 12 volt one would work, is that when you start this generator up, there's about a 5-second pause before the generator kicks on and starts sending power to any of the appliances that are plugged in. So this will give the pump a second, or the generator to start and start pushing out the exhaust before the water goes into the system. So that way the water doesn't get sucked back into the exhaust system on the engine and hydrolock the motor. Anyway, we're about ready to give it a try. I'm going to turn it on, check the water flow, and then I'll go downstairs and turn on the breakers and we'll start putting a load on it. Now, if you're wondering about safety, I have obviously the built-in carbon monoxide detector on the generator, which will turn off on its own, but I also have fuel and carbon monoxide sniffers down here in the engine compartment that will alert me up above. And then for some more redundancy, I have some carbon monoxide and fuel sniffers down below in the cabin. All right, I'm about to start this thing up. I'm gonna use the remote, and that's how I'll probably usually use it. I could always do it manually by pushing the start button, or I could just do a pull start, but that's a pain in the ass, so I'm not gonna do that. But it might be a little cold. It hasn't ran in a few months, but I'm gonna give it a whirl. Here we go. Let's check and see if water's coming out Nice and quiet too. Okay, I'm gonna let it run for a little bit, then I'll give you an update. All right, it's been running down there for about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go downstairs here and I'm gonna put a load on this thing. Now I'm gonna kick off all the power to the boat. I'm gonna slide this over to generator. Actually, I don't need to change that. That's all hooked to 12-volt system here. So I'm going to go like this, and then I'm going to turn off the battery, the power outlets. I'm going to turn off all the outlets. I'm going to turn off the air conditioner. Vacuum's off, all that. So, okay, I'm going to kick this thing on. Okay, looks like we got power. It's all kicked on. Let me go ahead. I heard the generator just kick up a notch. Still running okay. Water's still coming out. Let's check and see if the battery charger has kicked on. All the voltage. And let's start turning on some outlets. There we got TV's working now. We have all the things that we normally need. Now, I'm not going to turn on the water heater, although I could. But those are things you might want to turn off the battery charger for. I could probably run the air conditioner. Let's see what happens. The engine will kick up here in a second. Give it some more RPM so it can handle the load. Well, it seems to be working. I'm running the battery charger and the air conditioner and all the outlets at the moment. I'm going to check the temperature of the exhaust. Right there at the beginning, she's getting a little toasty. All right, well, I've had this thing running for about an hour now and no issues, no carbon monoxide detectors kicking off or, turn this back on here, no heat issues, and I've been running the air conditioner and the battery charger and my outlets, my outlets, and my TV, some other stuff charging. In conclusion here, I got a couple things I'd like to say about doing this project is that you have to have the right generator. You have to have some of the basic generator plumbing that comes in a boat equipped with a generator, for starters. You know, some of the generator features that I would recommend if you're going to do this is that it has that sine wave or sin wave technology, so the power is very reliable and steady, and it's not going to fry any of your expensive electronics in the boat. That's one thing. You know, some built-in safety features like the carbon monoxide, overheating. And speaking of overheating, some of the things that I'm going to do next that I'm probably not going to put in this video is that I'm installing a fan that's going to be hooked up through the blowers. So while you're running, or while I'm running this generator, I'm going to be using the blowers and a fan that plugs into the 110 outlet. So everything kicks on at the same time the minute I hit the on button. It turns off with it as well. So it is an air-cooled engine, and some people say, well, you can't have an air-cooled engine inside of an engine compartment like that. Well, think about these portable generators that sit, you know, out in the heat and the sun at these music festivals in the desert, wherever, and they're barely getting any wind whatsoever. So let's put a fan in there behind this generator and give it a little bit of flow. Some other things I'd like to, you know, address is that this isn't something that I probably would run, you know, all night long while I'm trying to sleep down below, you know, with my kid or anything like that. This is something that, you know, if you're out playing on the river all day long and your batteries are running low and you want to keep them charged, keep them healthy, maybe you know, run the microwave for a while, you know, this is something that I would use for that. I'm sure you could run it longer, but I think you just got to kind of use your head when it comes to doing these kind of things, and just monitor everything. You know, my engine bay is very clean, and I know the boat very well. There's no fuel leaks, and I have all the safety precautions in place just in case something were to go you know, awry down there, which, you know, this is boating, things do happen. But I mean, if you look at all the shit boats that are on the river, you know, every day, carbureted boats with fuel leaks and blowers that don't work and engine bays that haven't been opened up and maintained for, you know, years on end, and people just jump in their boats and fire them up and go and play on them all day long. So anyway, I guess my point is that you should probably know your boat well, and make sure you do regular maintenance. And also with this generator, I don't want this thing flopping around down there, so I'm kind of skipping around here, but I'm going to also create a strap for that thing, so it's going to be attached to the boat, so in case I got into some big water, it doesn't move around on me at all. But yeah, just use your head when it comes to these things, and with a little bit of creativity, you know, you don't have to listen to all the assholes on the internet tell you can't do something when clearly, you know, this can be done, and it can be done safely. But anyway, that's it.